Nobody laughed louder than the Torvaki when Earth sent their representative to the military exhibition. Ambassador Wren had seen many species try to impress the Galactic Coalition over his 40 years of service. He had watched the insectoid Krivex display their warriors with 4 arms and armored shells. He had observed the Drolith present soldiers who could see heat signatures in complete darkness. None of it impressed him anymore. The Torvaki were 8 feet tall, covered in thick reptilian scales, and possessed strength that could bend starship metal. They were the apex predators of known space, and everyone knew ITSO when the human delegation walked through the exhibition hall doors. Wren allowed himself a rare smile of amusement. Their representative was a woman, a small woman. She stood perhaps 5 feet tall and weighed maybe 50 kilograms at most. Her skin was pale, her hair was brown and tied back simply, and she moved with quick, light steps that made her seem nervous. She wore a plain gray uniform with no medals or decorations. Her name, according to the program, was Anna Webb. Gorith, Wren's second-in-command, made a sound that was the Torvaki equivalent of choking on laughter. He stood over 7 feet tall and had killed enemy soldiers with his bare hands during the border wars. Ambassador, Gorith said quietly, "Did the humans send us a child as an insult?" "She appears to be an adult by their standards," Wren replied, "though I confess I cannot always tell with their species." The Krivex ambassador clicked his mandibles in open disgust. "This is a military exhibition. We demonstrate our finest warriors here. What exactly are the humans demonstrating? Their ability to produce small, breakable creatures." Several delegates laughed. Anna Webb looked at the Krivex ambassador and smiled politely. She said nothing. The exhibition coordinator cleared his throat nervously. "The human delegation has registered their candidate for the Coalition's Joint Security Force. Standard protocol requires a demonstration of combat capability." More laughter from the assembled delegates. Wren noticed that Anna Webb's smile had not changed. Her eyes moved around the room, taking in every position of every delegate, every guard, every exit. It was a quick professional assessment that most would have missed. Wren stopped smiling. "Very well," the coordinator continued. "As per tradition, volunteers may test themselves against the candidate. Any volunteers?" Gorth stepped forward immediately. He rolled his massive shoulders and cracked his knuckles. He towered over Anna Webb like a mountain over a flower. "I volunteer," Gorth announced. "I'll be gentle, human. I have no desire to accidentally kill you." Anna Webb looked up at him. She had to crane her neck significantly just to meet his eyes. "Thank you for your concern," she said. Her voice was soft and calm. "That is very kind." She walked to the center of the demonstration platform. She removed her jacket and handed it to another member of her delegation. Underneath, she wore a simple sleeveless shirt. Her arms were thin. Her shoulders were narrow. She looked like a strong wind might knock her over. Anna Webb tied her hair back more tightly. Then she turned to face Gorth and settled into a relaxed stance, her weight balanced evenly, her hands open at her sides. "I am ready," she said. Gorth circled the small human slowly. He explained to the watching delegates that he would use minimal force. He described how fragile human bones were compared to Torvaki scales. He talked about how he would simply pin her down and end the demonstration without injury. Anna Webb listened to all of this and nodded along as if he were giving helpful advice. "Thank you for the explanation," she said when he finished. "Are you ready to begin?" Gorth lunged. Wren had seen Gorth move many times in combat. He was fast for his size, faster than most species expected. His clawed hand shot toward Anna Webb's shoulder, a simple grab that would have ended the fight instantly. His hand closed on empty air. Anna Webb was no longer there. She had moved in a direction Gorth had not anticipated, sliding around his arm like water flowing around a stone. Her hands touched his wrist and elbow briefly, almost gently. Gorth's massive body left the ground. Wren blinked. In the span of perhaps 2 heartbeats, his finest warrior was face down on the platform with his arm twisted behind his back at an angle that promised immediate breakage if he moved. Anna Webb knelt beside him with one knee on his spine. She was not even breathing hard. Please tap the ground if you wish to yield, she said politely. I do not want to cause injury. The exhibition hall had gone completely silent. Gorith tapped the ground. Anna Webb released him immediately and helped him stand. She brushed dust from his uniform and apologized for any discomfort. Three more Torvaki soldiers were already moving toward the platform, their eyes filled with disbelief and wounded pride. Ren leaned forward in his seat. He was no longer amused. He was no longer bored that he was afraid. The three Torvaki soldiers spread out around Anna Webb like wolves surrounding wounded prey. They did not make the same mistake as Gorith. They would not attack one at a time. Ren recognized them. Sergeant Voss, a veteran of 12 campaigns. Lieutenant Drell, youngest officer to earn the Silver Claw Medal. Corporal Hen, known for his speed despite his size. Together, they represented some of the finest warriors in the Torvaki military. Anna Webb stood in the center of their circle. She looked even smaller now, surrounded by scales and muscle and barely contained violence. Her hands remained open at her sides. Her breathing was slow and even. Whenever you are ready, she said. They attacked together. What happened next will be discussed in military academies for generations. Ren watched it unfold and still could not fully understand what he was seeing. Anna Webb did not fight like any warrior he had ever observed. She did not block attacks. She did not match strength with strength. She moved like smoke, like shadow, like something that existed between moments rather than within them. Voss grabbed for her throat. She pivoted, and suddenly Voss was stumbling into Drell. Their collision bought her a fraction of a second that she used to step behind him. Her palm struck the back of his knee. His leg buckled. As he fell, she was already moving again. Drell swung a massive fist that could have shattered stone. Anna Webb ducked under it, and her small hands found pressure points that Ren did not know existed on Torvaki bodies. Drell's arm went limp at his side. He roared in confusion more than pain. Voss recovered and charged. Anna Webb did not retreat. Instead, she stepped toward him, inside his reach, too close for him to use his superior size effectively. Her elbow struck his solar plexus. Her foot hooked behind his ankle. He went down hard enough to shake the platform. In 8 seconds, all three soldiers were on the ground. None of them were seriously injured. All of them were utterly defeated. Anna Webb helped each of them stand. She checked their joints and pressure points, explaining what she had done and why it had worked. Her manner was that of a teacher, not a conqueror. The exhibition hall remained silent for a long moment. Then the questions began. The Krivex ambassador demanded an explanation. How could something so small generate such force? How could she move faster than species designed for speed? What trickery was involved? Anna Webb faced the assembled delegates with patience. There is no trickery, she said, only physics and biology. She explained it simply. Humans evolved on a world where they were rarely the strongest or fastest creature. They learned to survive through intelligence and technique. They developed fighting methods that used an opponent's force against them. Leverage, she said, momentum redirection, joint manipulation, pressure points. These things do not require great strength. They require understanding. She pointed to her own small frame. My size is not a weakness. It is irrelevant. I do not need to overpower my opponent. I need to understand how their body works and use that knowledge against them. Ren thought about this. The Torvaki philosophy of combat was built on simple principles. Be stronger. Be tougher. Hit harder. The enemy who could not survive your attack could not defeat you. It had worked for thousands of years, but Anna Webb had just demonstrated that strength meant nothing if it could not connect. Toughness meant nothing if the enemy could find your pressure points. Hitting hard meant nothing if your momentum could be turned against you. Your warriors are not weak, Anna Webb continued. They are predictable. They rely on the same advantages because those advantages have always worked. But any advantage you rely on completely becomes a weakness when someone learns to counter it. She looked directly at Ren. Something passed between them. Understanding, perhaps, or warning. Humans learned this lesson painfully on our home world, she said. We were not the strongest animals. We were not the fastest. We survived because we adapted. We watched our enemies and learned their patterns. The Drolith ambassador spoke for the first time. You speak of your home world as if it were a battlefield. It was, Anna Webb replied simply. Earth is what you would call a death world. Everything there evolved to kill or avoid being killed. Humans are simply the species that learned to kill more efficiently than anything else. Silence again. Rin stood from his seat. The other delegates watched him with curiosity. The Torvaki ambassador approaching the human who had just humiliated his soldiers was unexpected. Instructor Webb, he said, using her military title, I would like to speak with you privately after this exhibition. Anna Webb met his eyes without fear. She was so small that she barely reached his chest. Yet Ren felt no superiority in that moment. He felt only respect. Of course, Ambassador, she said. I am happy to assist. As the exhibition continued, Ren returned to his seat and considered what he had learned. The galaxy had always measured military power in simple terms. Size, strength, technology, firepower. Perhaps they've been measuring the wrong things entirely. The private meeting room was designed for Torvaki proportions, which meant Anna looked like a child sitting at an adult's table. She did not seem to mind. She sat with her back straight, her hands folded calmly, and her eyes watching Ren with patient attention. If the oversized furniture bothered her, she gave no sign of it. Ren poured 2 drinks from a tall bottle. The liquid was a traditional Torvaki blend, probably too strong for human biology. He offered one to Anna anyway. She accepted it and took a small sip without flinching. Interesting flavor. Fermented grain with some kind of mineral additive. Ren blinked. You can identify the ingredients? Humans have a reasonable sense of taste. We use it for more than just eating. She set the glass down carefully. You want to speak privately, Ambassador. I assume this is about more than curiosity. Ren leaned back in his seat. His claws tapped against the table surface as he considered how to begin. What he was about to say was not something Torvaki leaders admitted easily. My people have a problem, he said finally. A serious one. I believe you might be able to help. Anna waited silently for him to continue. There's a terrorist organization called the Iron Fang. They have been targeting Torvaki officials for the past 3 years. Assassinations, bombings, kidnappings. Ren's voice grew bitter. They have killed 47 of our leaders. We have captured none of them. None at all. The Iron Fang consists of rogue Torvaki, former soldiers who turned against the Dominion for various reasons. They know how we fight. They know how we think. They have learned to exploit our methods. Anna leaned forward slightly. Exploit how? Ren stood and walked to the window. Outside, stars glittered in the endless darkness. Torvaki military philosophy is built on overwhelming force. We attack directly. We crush opposition through superior strength and numbers. It has worked for 10,000 years. But the Iron Fang knows this. Yes, they set traps designed for direct attackers. They use explosives in narrow corridors where our size becomes a weakness. They strike from hiding and vanish before we can respond. They turn our own power against us. Ren turned back to face Anna. We are dying because we only know how to fight one way. Anna was quiet for a moment. What are you asking me, Ambassador? I am asking if you would be willing to train a unit of Torvaki soldiers. Teach them to fight differently. Give them options beyond strength alone. The request hung in the air between them. Ren knew how extraordinary it was. The Torvaki Dominion had never asked another species for military instruction. The very idea would seem shameful to most of his people, but Ren had watched Anna defeat 4 of his best warriors in seconds. Shame meant nothing if his people kept dying. Anna considered the offer carefully. You understand that my methods will challenge everything your soldiers believe about combat. I will ask them to move differently, think differently, fight differently. Some will hate me for it. I expect nothing less. And your High Council? Will they approve this? Ren made a sound that was almost a laugh. Several members will call it humiliation. They will say we are admitting weakness by learning from humans. He met her eyes. I will convince them anyway. Results matter more than pride. Anna nodded slowly. Then I accept. But I have conditions. Name them. I want 12 soldiers. Not your best. Not volunteers. Give me the ones you consider difficult. The ones who question orders and think for themselves. Those minds will adapt fastest to new ideas. Ren frowned. You want troublemakers? I want independent thinkers. There is a difference. Anna stood from her seat, her small frame somehow commanding the room. I also want full authority over their training. No interference from traditional instructors. Agreed. One more thing. Anna's voice softened slightly. This will be hard for your soldiers. Not physically, although that too, but mentally and emotionally. I will break down everything they believe about themselves as warriors. Some will not handle it well. Ren extended his clawed hand. It was a gesture he had learned from humans. You'll have my full support, Ms. Webb. Just stop the Iron Fang from killing my people. Anna shook his hand. Her grip was firm despite her small fingers. I cannot promise to stop them, but I can promise to give your soldiers the tools to fight back. 3 weeks later, Anna arrived at the Torvaki Military Academy. The facilities were massive, built for beings twice her height. The training grounds stretched for miles in every direction. 12 Torvaki soldiers waited for her in a courtyard. They were all young, all decorated, and all clearly unhappy about their assignment. Word had spread that they were being punished with degrading duty under a human instructor. Anna walked to the center of the group. She had to crane her neck to look at their faces. My name is Anna Webb, she said. For the next 6 months, I will teach you how to fight like humans. You will hate it. You will question it. Some of you will want to quit. She smiled pleasantly. That is perfectly fine. By the time we are finished, you will understand why being underestimated is the greatest weapon in the galaxy. One soldier stepped forward. She was female, taller than the others, with scars across her snout. I am Vora, she said, and I do not need a human to teach me anything. Anna looked up at her without fear. Wonderful. You could be my first demonstration partner. The other soldiers exchanged uncertain glances. This was going to be interesting. Vora hit the training mat for the 7th time that morning. She was exhausted, frustrated, and angrier than she had ever been in her life. The small human woman stood over her with an expression of patient expectation, waiting for her to rise and try again. Your attacks are predictable, Anna said calmly. You always lead with your right arm. You always aim for center mass. A blind enemy could anticipate your movements. Vora pushed herself up, her muscles screaming in protest. Around her, the other 11 soldiers watched. Some looked sympathetic. Others seemed relieved that they were not the ones being humiliated. I am twice your size, Vora growled. I am 5 times your weight. How do you keep defeating me? Because size and weight are not the only things that matter in combat. Anna gestured for Vora to attack again. Your strength is impressive, but strength without control is just energy waiting to be redirected. Vora lunged. This time she tried to vary her attack, coming in low instead of high. It made no difference. Anna sidestepped, caught her arm, and used her own momentum to send her crashing into the mat once more. 8 times. Enough, Anna said. Seat, all of you. The 12 soldiers gathered around her. They had been training for 3 weeks now, and none of them had managed to land a solid hit on their instructor. Anna sat cross-legged on the mat. Today I want to talk about why you are failing. Because you cheat, one soldier muttered. His name was Drell, and he had been sullen since the first day. I used different rules, Anna corrected. That is not cheating. That is adaptation. She pulled out a small datapad. This is a human child facing an adult human. The child cannot win through strength. So what does the child do? Nobody answered. The child learns other ways to succeed. Negotiation, manipulation, allies, intelligence. Humans spend our entire childhood learning that strength is not enough. By the time we reach adulthood, these lessons are burned into our brains. Vora leaned forward despite herself. But you are not children anymore. True, but we never forget the childhood lessons. We always assume our opponent might be stronger. We always look for alternative solutions. Anna set down the datapad. Torvaki children are born strong. You never needed to learn these lessons. That is why you struggle now. So how do we learn? Drell asked, his tone less hostile than before. By experiencing helplessness. Anna stood up. Pair off. The larger partner will restrain, the smaller partner completely. The smaller partner will try to escape. For the next hour, the soldiers practiced. It was difficult and humbling. The larger soldiers learned what it felt like to have all their strength become useless. The smaller soldiers learned to find gaps in seemingly perfect holds. Vora was paired with Drell. She was slightly larger, so she started in the dominant position. She wrapped her arms around him, certain he could never escape. Within 30 seconds, he had wriggled free by exploiting a gap under her arm. "How?" Vora demanded. "I was not trying to overpower you," Drell said, looking surprised at his own success. "I just looked for the weakest point in your grip." Day after day, the training continued. Anna taught them to fight blindfolded, using sound and vibration to locate opponents. She taught them to fall properly, turning crashes into rolls. She taught them joint locks, pressure points, and the art of using an enemy's weight against them. One evening, Vora found Anna sitting alone on a training mat, staring at nothing. Her usual calm mask had slipped slightly. She looked tired. "Sad, you should rest," Vora said, sitting beside her. Anna glanced up. "I was thinking about someone." "Who?" "Her name was Sarah. My partner, years ago. We served together in a human military unit." Anna's voice was quiet. "We were responding to a hostage situation. I was 30 seconds too late reaching her position." 30 seconds. Vora was silent for a moment. "The Iron Fong killed my clutch brother. They used explosives in a narrow canyon. I could not reach him in time." Anna met her eyes. "That is why you were so angry during training." "I was not fast enough, not smart enough. I failed him." "And you think learning human techniques is an insult to his memory?" Vora looked away. "I think asking humans for help means admitting we're not strong enough to avenge our own dead." Anna reached out and placed a small hand on Vora's massive arm. "Strength without wisdom is just violence waiting to fail. That is something my instructor told me when I was young. I did not understand it until Sarah died." "What does it mean?" "It means that being strong enough to kill is not the same as being wise enough to protect. The Iron Fong kills your people because they are wise to your ways. If you want to stop them, you must become wiser." Vora stared at the small human for a long time. Then she nodded slowly. "Teach me," she said. "Teach me everything." Anna smiled. "I already am." The next morning, Vora arrived at training before anyone else. When the other soldiers arrived, she helped them with their forms. Something had changed. The training sessions became more focused. Arguments decreased. Cooperation increased. They began to move like a unit rather than 12 individuals. On the last day of the month, Anna gathered them together. "Attack me," she said. "All of you, at once." They did. 12 Torvaki warriors swarmed the small human woman. Anna dodged and redirected perfectly, but this time the soldiers adapted. They boxed her in. They covered each other's weaknesses. They used their combined weight strategically. It took them 2 full minutes, but they finally pinned her down. Anna laughed from beneath the pile of massive bodies. "That," she said, "is how you defeat me. Adaptation, teamwork, intelligence. Remember this feeling." Vora extended a hand and helped Anna to her feet. "We still have much to learn," Vora said. Anna grinned. "Yes, but now you know that learning is possible. That is the most important lesson of all." The explosion ripped through the convoy without warning. Ambassador Wren felt his transport vehicle spin wildly before crashing into a rocky outcrop. Alarm screamed. Emergency lights flashed red. Through the cracked viewport, he could see smoke rising from the other vehicles in his escort. The Iron Fong had finally come for him. Torvaki soldiers poured from the damaged transports, weapons raised, searching for targets. But the terrorists knew their tactics. Secondary explosions detonated in the narrow canyon walls, bringing down rocks that separated the escort into isolated groups. The soldiers could not form a unified defense. Exactly as the Iron Fong had planned, masked figures emerged from hidden positions, firing pulse weapons at the confused defenders. The Torvaki soldiers charged toward them, but the canyon was too narrow. Their size became a disadvantage. They blocked each other's movements, created easy targets, died trying to reach enemies they could not touch. Ren struggled free from his ruined vehicle. His personal guards formed a protective circle around him, but he could see the situation was hopeless. The Iron Fang had studied every standard Torvaki response pattern. They had prepared for exactly this scenario. Then a new sound cut through the chaos. Transport engines. Approaching fast that Anna's unit had arrived. 12 Torvaki soldiers leaped from their vehicle before it fully stopped. But they did not charge forward like their fellow warriors. Instead, they scattered into the rocks along the canyon's edge, moving with a coordination that seemed almost choreographed. Vora led half the unit on a flanking path that no traditional Torvaki commander would have considered. They used the terrain for cover instead of treating it as an obstacle. They moved quickly and quietly, their massive bodies somehow flowing through gaps that should have been too small. On the opposite side, Drell guided his group in a mirror maneuver. They communicated through hand signals that Anna had taught them, silent coordination replacing the usual Torvaki battle roars. The Iron Fang fighters noticed too late. They had prepared for direct assault. They had not prepared for Torvaki who fought from the shadows. Vora's group struck first. Instead of killing, they disabled. Vora herself took down 3 terrorists using joint locks that rendered them helpless without ending their lives. Intel from captured enemies was more valuable than corpses. "We need prisoners," Anna had told them during training. "Dead enemies tell no secrets." Drell's group hit for the other side seconds later. The Iron Fang's careful ambush formations crumbled as attackers came from unexpected angles. Their traps were positioned wrong. Their escape routes were blocked. Anna moved through the battlefield like a ghost. She was so small that the Iron Fang fighters did not recognize her as a threat. One terrorist actually stepped past her, focusing on a Torvaki soldier in the distance. He never saw the strike that dropped him. She disabled 6 enemies before any of them realized what was happening. Her movements were precise, economical, targeting exactly the points that would neutralize a Torvaki without killing. She had studied their anatomy for months, learning every weakness, every vulnerability. The Iron Fang leader emerged from a concealed position, a scarred male twice Anna's size. He held a heavy pulse rifle aimed at Ambassador Ren. "Nobody move," he shouted, "or your precious ambassador dies." Anna did not hesitate. She was already moving before he finished speaking. The Iron Fang leader saw her coming. He swung his weapon toward her, confused by why this tiny creature was attacking instead of freezing like everyone else. Anna ducked under his aim, stepped inside his reach, and demonstrated exactly why humans were dangerous. She did not try to match his strength. She redirected it. His own momentum carried him forward as she twisted his rifle from his grip. Her elbow found a nerve cluster in his arm. Her knee struck the joint of his leg from an angle it was not designed to resist. He collapsed. The fight took less than 5 seconds. Broadcast drones captured the entire encounter. Within hours, footage of the small human woman defeating the Iron Fang's leader would spread across the Dominion. The galaxy would see what Anna had shown at the exhibition, but this time in actual combat. The remaining terrorists surrendered quickly after their leader fell. They had not expected to face Torvaki who fought like humans. They had not expected to face a human at all. Ren approached Anna as medics tended to the wounded. His hand was shaking slightly from the adrenaline. "You came," he said. "We were monitoring all convoy routes," Anna replied. "Your security protocols have some gaps. We should discuss that later." Ren looked at Vora, who was helping secure the captured terrorists. The scarred female soldier moved with confidence and purpose, directing others with quiet authority. She was unrecognizable from the angry warrior who had challenged Anna on the first day. "She has changed," Ren observed. "They all have." Anna watched her soldiers with something like pride. They learned that adapting to new ideas does not mean abandoning old strengths. It means adding new tools to an existing arsenal. Drell approached, dragging a captured terrorist behind him. "Instructor Webb. This one claims to have information about other Iron Fang cells. He wants to negotiate." Anna nodded. "Take him to the secure transport. No harm comes to him. Not until we know everything he knows." As Drell moved away, Ren turned to Anna. "The High Council will want to discuss this. Officially, I expected as much." Some will still call it shameful that humans helped us. Anna shrugged her small shoulders. Results speak louder than pride, Ambassador. You said that yourself once. Ren remembered. He had said it when convincing the council to approve Anna's training program. He had not fully understood what it meant until today. Yes, he said quietly. I suppose I did. Around them, the canyon was silent except for the sounds of medical treatment and prisoner transport. The Iron Fawn's perfect ambush had failed completely. For the first time in 3 years, the Torvaki had won. The High Council chamber had not been this loud in decades. Torvaki leaders shouted over each other, their voices echoing off the ancient stone walls. Some pounded their fists on the curved table. Others gestured wildly at holographic displays, showing footage from the convoy battle. The debate had lasted for 4 hours with no sign of stopping. Anna sat quietly in the visitors' section, watching the chaos with calm interest. She had testified earlier, explaining her training methods and the philosophy behind them. Now the council argued about what to do next. This is humiliation, roared Counselor Thresh, an older male with graying scales. We are the Torvaki Dominion. For 10,000 years, we have been the galaxy's greatest warriors. Now, we ask humans to teach us how to fight. The humans did not teach us to fight, Ambassador Wren countered. They taught us to think differently about fighting. There is a distinction that means nothing. Other species will see us as weak. Counselor Vela, a female elder who had remained silent until now, raised her hand. The chamber gradually quieted. Let us consider facts, she said. For 3 years, the Iron Fang has killed our people with impunity. Our traditional methods failed to stop them. After 6 months of human training, a single unit of 12 soldiers destroyed an Iron Fang ambush and captured their leader alive. Luck, Thresh muttered. Results, Vela corrected. I do not care if our methods seem strange to other species. I care if our people live or die. She turned to face Anna. Human, if we expand this training across our military, what would be required? Anna stood. Despite her small size, every eye in the chamber focused on her. I would need to train instructors, she said. Torvaki who understand both traditional methods and the new techniques. They would then train others. Within a generation, the skills would become part of your standard military education, and you would stay to oversee this. No, Anna shook her head. I will establish the program and train the first generation of instructors. Then I will return home. This knowledge must belong to your people, not depend on human supervision. Thresh made a dismissive sound. How generous. The human gives us scraps of wisdom and then leaves. The human gives you tools, Anna replied calmly. What you build with them is your choice. My people learned these techniques over thousands of years of killing each other. We earn this knowledge through suffering. I'm offering you a shortcut. Whether you take it is up to you. The chamber fell silent. Vora stepped forward from where she had been standing with the other soldiers. She had been invited to provide testimony, but had not yet spoken. Now she walked to the center of the room, standing beside Anna. I hated this assignment, Vora said. I thought it was punishment. I thought learning from humans was shameful. She looked at Thresh directly. I was wrong. Vora, Thresh began, you are a fine soldier, but this matter is too complex for my clutch brother died in an Iron Fang ambush. Vora continued, ignoring him. I cannot save him because I only knew one way to fight. Direct assault. Overwhelming force. The methods that have always worked. Her voice hardened. They did not work that day. She turned to address the entire council. Instructor Webb did not give us weakness. She gave us options. A warrior who can only fight one way is not strong. They are predictable, and predictable warriors die. Drell stepped forward to stand beside Vora. One by one, the other soldiers from Anna's unit joined them. 12 Torvaki warriors, standing in support of their human instructor. We request, Vora said formally, that the council approve expansion of the training program. Not because humans demand it, because we believe in it. The council members exchanged glances. Even Thresh seemed moved by the display of solidarity. Ambassador Wren stood. I call for a vote. All in favor of implementing the expanded training program. Hands rose around the chamber. one by one, then faster. Even Thresh, after a long hesitation, raised his clawed hand. The vote was unanimous. 2 months later, Anna packed the last of her belongings in her small quarters at the academy. Her transport back to Earth would depart in 3 hours. Ren found her there, staring out the window at the training fields below. New recruits were practicing the techniques she had taught, guided by Vora and Drell and the other original students. You could stay, Ren said. The council would welcome it. You would have resources, authority, respect. Anna smiled slightly. I know, but my work is done here. The best teachers make themselves unnecessary. Why did you really come to the exhibition that day? You must have known how the galaxy would react to a small human woman claiming military expertise. Anna was quiet for a moment. Humans are new to galactic society. Many species see us as weak, harmless, insignificant. I wanted to demonstrate that appearances can be deceiving. You certainly accomplished that. But more importantly, Anna continued, I wanted to show that being underestimated is not the same as being weak. It can be a weapon, the most dangerous kind of weapon because your enemies never see it coming. Ren considered her words. He thought about all the humans he had met over the years. The diplomats who smiled and agreed with everything. The traders who seemed so eager to please. The observers who sat quietly in corners, watching and learning. How much of human behavior is genuine, he asked slowly. And how much is calculated? Anna's smile widened slightly. Ambassador, if I answer that question, it would ruin the advantage. She picked up her bag and walked toward the door. At the threshold, she paused and turned back. The galaxy has spent centuries dismissing humanity as too small, too fragile, too young to matter. Perhaps that was what we wanted. Perhaps we have been learning and adapting this entire time, waiting for the right moment to show what we truly are. And what is that? Anna's eyes held something ancient and knowing, something that seemed strange in such a young species. Survivors, she said simply. Above all else, humans are survivors. We adapt. We learn. We find ways to win against any odds. She nodded farewell. Remember that, Ambassador. The next time you think you understand us. She walked away, small and fragile-looking, completely unremarkable. Ren watched her go, understanding at last why humanity had been so easily overlooked. It was not by accident that IT was strategy, and the galaxy had no idea what was coming.